What's up there, Workforce? Chris here with Work To Game. Welcome to all you new people in the community. Let's talk about whether or not you should pre-order Anthem. Now, many of you probably recognize the other guy's face, Bryan, especially lately as I have been out of town at least 10 days out of the last month, and he posts a lot. That guy is crazy. So, Bryan has pre-ordered the game. He pre-ordered the Xbox copy and the PC copy. For anybody out there that thinks when we're bad-mouthing EA that we're being paid by somebody to do that, but then tells us that we're being paid by EA because we sometimes talk nice about them, we are not receiving any compensation whatsoever from them. So he has, of his own money, bought 2 copies. I am still on the fence. So I played the opening demo. I was out of town for the next weekend. But I played the private demo. Bryan gave me one of his keys, because obviously he has keys. And he gave the others out on stream, I feel like. And I enjoyed the game. The gameplay is good. But to catch you guys up a little bit, especially since we have so many new faces around here, I would like to say that one of the things that Bryan and I jokingly say you need to evaluate the game is you should get $1 per hour. And I don't really view that as the game should just last 60 hours, but that should be 60 hours of entertainment, 60 hours of joy, because that's what I buy games for. That's what we all love games for. So if the game is miserable every other hour, then it really needs to last 120 hours. So $60. That's what we've got to get. 60 to 80 hours of content. The other thing is we are in a wonderful time to be a gamer where there are way more games than you could ever get to. I'm not going to get a chance to play Red Dead Redemption. I just don't see where it'll fit. I didn't pick up Kingdom Hearts. I didn't pick up Octopath Traveler, even after loving the demo. I didn't pick up God of War, even though it got, what, Game of the Year? I have dropped games and not added them back. So, I will never make it back to Destiny 2. I will never most likely make it back to Guild Wars. I will most likely never... So, the list goes on. And your list, I'm sure, looks a lot like that, where there's a lot of games that you may have respect for that you just don't have time to go back and play. And so when I'm looking at picking games up, I already have this pile of shame up here of games that I would love to get back to, especially hearing that Final Fantasy X is coming back. That's my favorite Final Fantasy. You know, it's hard to want to add another MMO in, especially because I'm the guy on the channel that has an active subscription to Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft, and I play Warhammer 40k, which for those of you that aren't familiar, that's another time sink outside of video games. And those 3, I already don't have enough hobby time in the week to get to them. So picking up another MMO is already a risk. So the reason I have it pre-ordered is for a couple of reasons. First of all, there is no advantage, in my opinion, to pre-ordering anymore. There was a time when pre-ordering was the only way to guarantee that GameStop would have your copy waiting for you when you went to pick it up or whatever, and you could turn in previous games towards a pre-order, and you got this, you get 5% plus the value since it's going into store credit, and then you get 5% off of pre-orders, and so it was this weird scheme where you could turn in games towards a pre-order and they turned into additional value. That isn't... Now you buy games digital. The vast majority of game purchases are moving towards digital and will most likely in the next generation of consoles either be entirely digital or be one step closer to that. I'd be willing to bet that if the vast majority of game purchases are not already digital, by the time the next generation gets here, that physical games will be a thing of the past. And it will just be something that's, it's something that grandparents can buy grandkids, so there's a physical thing, but the vast majority, you could be moving to, it'll be a cool poster in a box with a game code or something like that. So there's still that physical thing, but the discs are not needed anymore, especially as hard drive space becomes very cheap. So you don't need to pre-order. So what they can give you is they can give you early access, which I already got without pre-ordering. And then they can give you fancy loot, which my understanding is Anthem is not doing that. And even if they are, it's usually just cosmetics. So you just need to evaluate if that's important to you. And that's about it. Now, the other reason you pre-order is the final reason is that on digital downloads, pre-ordering often allows you to start patching the game, downloading the game. It allows you to say, okay, put this game on my console, and it downloads the whole client, and then the game's just not live. And that guarantees that on the day of, that you're not pulling some update from a server. It helps drop the odds that you get a worse play experience on day one, even though the servers will most likely be slammed regardless. And so, okay, cool. Except that I don't need to pre-order the day pre-orders become available to get advantage to that. So if the game drops on the 22nd, pre-ordering on the 20th and pre-ordering today are the same thing effectively. So is there any advantage to waiting until, let's say, the 20th versus today? Yes, there is, because Anthem is unique in that compared to some other games that are released on multiple platforms, one of the platforms is coming out early, and it's not the platform I plan on playing on. If I ever play Anthem, it will be on Xbox. The PC client drops, what, 5-7 days sooner, whatever that is? I think it's the 15th and the 22nd, so I think that's 7. And so you've got some number of days, and in that number of days, streamers are going to hit level cap. They're going to push into gearing. They're going to see what endgame's about. They're going to see how boring they feel it is when they put 80 hours in 5 days. And that is information that I don't have today that I will have by the 20th. So my view is you don't really need to pre-order because you can just let the people who have and the people who buy the game on launch for PC tell you if this game is worth playing and tell you if this game is worth doing something that a game you already have access to doesn't do. So I have Final Fantasy XIV and WoW. So when it comes to content I can grind, content I can do with friends, content that is moderately challenging, or I can seek out cosmetics, or I can level up a character, all those aspects of me as a gamer can already be satisfied by 2 games that I pay every month to be a part of. Okay, so then what it does for me is it gives me a chance to play a shooting game. Well, I currently play Call of Duty 1 night a week with my friends. It's not about Call of Duty being the best shooter on the market, it's just the one that my friends all have, and so I play it every week, and good or bad, we will play it until we as a collective move to the next game. Come on, Halo 6. So I don't need anything from Anthem. So the only way I'm going to play it is it has to convince me of something that I already don't have an opening for. It needs to create an opening in my life. From that perspective, having 27 more demos can only give me a reason not to play it. It can't convince me. And I said this, I think, in one of the live streams when we were playing the demo. There were a series of things I needed to know. Is the core mechanics good? Is the core level design good? Is the core pacing good? And the answer was yes to all of those. All of my remaining questions are, how much content is there? How repetitive is it? How does the end game feel? No number of demos can answer those questions. So if you can't answer the questions I still have, stop doing demos, because all you can do is have a bad demo, put a taste in my mouth that guarantees I don't pre-order it. At this point, just release the game, which is what they're doing. So I'm really excited for Anthem. I'm really excited for people that want to play it. Just because I choose to opt out of a game doesn't mean I want that game to fail. People who enjoy it, that's awesome. We are part of a wonderful world of gamers who all love games, and if they like games different than me, that's awesome, because competition makes all of gaming better. And so I think this is great that Anthem looks like it's doing really well out of the gate. It'll be interesting to see the relationship between BioWare and EA. BioWare is a studio that I've had a lot of respect for over the years, but I haven't beaten all their games. And EA is somebody who, anytime you get into a company that gets over a certain size, they start to view their core product and their core consumer as more of a widget and a number, and they lose sight of that individual experience. And so, you know, EA, Activision, all of them, anybody that gets over a certain size, even your favorite YouTuber, right? You may have subscribed to a YouTuber now that has 65 million people, and when you first subscribed to them, they had 2,000. Well, many of you, Bryan and I, this channel's pretty small still. And so Bryan and I get to interact with some of you on a regular basis. And we get to respond to your individual comments. And we get to hang out with you guys in Discord and in stream and all of these things. And we see the same names over and over. And we get to know, oh, you know, how's your sister doing? Or did your kid get better? And all of that. And if there were 65 million of you, we would lose that. So it's not something I necessarily blame EA for, but it is something that I'm aware could affect Anthem. And they're going to have to make their money. So if they're going to continually support this game, they're either, as we look at the content rollout that they've announced and then what we can predict, they're either going to announce that there's expansions to it. And so it's basically a subscription model that you didn't tell me about until later. That's what Destiny 2 did. Or they're going to support it like Halo 5, where you're going to have a loot box style system, but they've said, you know, oh, we're not going to do these cosmetics. So then I would look at the asterisk on that and say, okay, what things are not in that list? So I personally, I mean, I haven't read everything ever written about Anthem, but I think that they have not said they have not said that they're not going to charge us for javelins. And they can charge javelins to coins. You could earn coins in game, and then it just becomes a question, just like a MOBA, where, you know, you can technically unlock each character, or maybe you get your base 4 javelins, and then you get access to one random one each week, but then you lose access to it. It kind of goes into a lock, and it freezes at its current upgrades and all that, and then it comes back around. And so you've got these rotating... I mean, there's a lot of systems out there that we already see work like this, and they could very easily gate certain aspects of the content behind this without backing down from the promises that BioWare has already made. So really, everything I'm saying at this point is I don't see an advantage to pre-ordering now versus pre-ordering on the 20th. So I'm recording this on the 7th. So in the next 13 days, there is going to be little bits of information kind of trickling out. And then on the 15th, we're going to see all these guys plug in on the PC, and they're going to go in hard. All these content creators out there are going to just play the crap out of it. And there's going to be a ton of reviews and all of that, and a ton of gameplay that you can watch, and you can go in and interact and ask questions. And then I have until the 22nd to decide if I want to play without even getting behind. I won't be behind the other Xbox players, and I hate being behind. And then if I'm willing to be behind, then it goes on even further. I can wait 3 months or 6 months, because I think this game is one that isn't meant to be decided if it's good or bad on opening weekend. I think people who play the first 6 hours and then the server goes down and say this game sucks, this is a game that's meant to be enjoyed over months and months. And so it sounds weird to say this, but like with an expansion of Final Fantasy or an expansion of WoW, I don't really feel you can do a true review of it justice. You can give your thoughts and opinions at the time, but you can't give a true review until you have hindsight, until you can look back over the course of it. Because an expansion in one of those games is a 2-year rollout. And so if they get the first 3 months of it wrong, and then they learn, and it gets better and better, and then it turns into something amazing, it's still a great expansion in my mind, and Anthem has that opportunity. In my mind, Anthem could be a great game, but there is no way for us to know before the 22nd. Odds are we won't even know until March, April, May, until they get to the end of the current content they've said, and we see, okay, when they say add a dungeon, how much does that really add, or a stronghold, or whatever the verbiage is? When they say they're going to add more javelins, what do those roll out like? And these are all things we're just going to have to see. What does the gearing feel like? What does the scaling feel like? What amount do I have to play to stay at the level I want to? And is it fun repeatedly? Or do eventually it's like, wow, they have 100 unique quests. And then eventually you're like, okay, but I have to complete 2,000 to get the thing I wanted. So I've done every single quest in the game 20 times a piece. Okay, it doesn't look like they're going to add more. So eventually I'm going to have done these all 100 times a piece. And so you can kind of see how that would be disappointing. And so it's just too early to call a lot of that. So this was really a long-winded way of saying I'm not pre-ordering at least until the 20th, 21st, somewhere in that range. I may not play this game. And so I just wanted to toss the counter view out there because I know Bryan's super hyped on the game and he's getting really excited. And there's some things he's definitely concerned about. But overall, when I talk to Bryan offline and you guys don't see like just an individual topic that he wants to cover for 5 minutes, his overall tone is absolutely stoked on this game. And I'm not so sure. And so I just wanted to share that in case any of you were wondering, well, if I don't feel like Bryan does, should I pre-order? I would say hold off. I would say hold off at least another week and give it time for the other, that other release, get the information you need, and then decide, do I need to be there on day one? If so, now's the time to pre-order. So my name's Chris with Work To Game. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.
Hey guys, it's me. Oh, well, if you don't know me, my name's Terry. I'm a beautiful Tyrannosaurus from Texas, and it just doesn't get more country than that. I tell you what, I grew up in these parts. I was resurrected by a ghost, and that ghost told me that I needed to come out and hang out on Work To Game's YouTube channel. To tell everybody, they should totally hit that thumbs up. Thumbs down make Terry hungry. It makes me hungry. You hear me? Hungry. Anyway, Terry, just keep it together. Keep it together, Terry. All right, guys. So, with that, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and hit subscribe if you haven't already to see more of me and my beautiful nose. Okay. All right. Good talking to you. I'll see you guys soon. I'll see you real soon. Terry, the Tyrannosaurus from Texas,